concept of freedom was a very simple one. That to move from the physical restraint to a place where you had relative ability to move about. After the period of slavery, the concept of freedom became slightly different. It became one of, now that the chains are off, now that the fences are removed, now that the dogs are no longer put on us, now that you no longer have a right to deprive me of the ability to move, then it became clear that even though those things were gone, freedom still was not there. So it became a little less tangible. Even though you couldn't vote, and even though you couldn't walk on the same side of the street, and even though you had to drink out of a special fountain, and even though your children had to go to special schools and you had to live in special areas, the idea, though, is that somehow it was still less tangible. It was less clear. It was more abstract. But people knew something still was wrong, so they said, freedom means let me participate. So they said, boss, now that the chains are gone, let me do some of what you do. Let me go where you go, eat where you go to the bathroom where you go to the bathroom. Let me live where you live, and let my children go where yours go. And our concept of freedom then became one of participation. And so for almost a half of a century, we worked hard to participate. We wanted to simply do what boss did. And if we were doing what boss was doing, we thought we were free. And we made lots of efforts to try to do what boss did. We prayed, we marched, we sat in, we walked in, we voted, we unvoted, we got beaten down in the streets. We did everything just trying to let boss let us participate. Because the concept of freedom then was just to be able to do what boss was doing. Then the laws got shifted again, and they began to let us do that. We could vote, and we could drink out the same fountain, eat at the same place, sleep in the same place. We really thought that now the freedom was here. Then we kept finding out something still ain't right. It still ain't right. So I tell you what, boss, let us be like you. We want to marry you and listen, we want to go to your school. We don't want no of these colored schools. We want to go to your school, boss. We don't want to have no black community. We want to live integrated. No longer no participation. We want to integrate. We want to live right next to you. We want to pray next to you. We want to sing next to you. We want to do everything right with you. Don't give us none of this old black stuff, none of this old Africa stuff. I'm an American, boss. I'm a real American. And once we began to push for that, we didn't want nothing to keep us from being a good American. We wanted to fight where boss fought. We wanted to go to his war, live in his place. So the thrust then had gone from plantation to participation to membership. We wanted to be shared members, and we thought we'd be free. But then we found out that we got there and we were sitting there and somehow we still didn't feel free. Sitting in his school, still didn't feel free. Reading his book, still didn't feel free. On his television, still didn't feel free. In his plays, still didn't feel free. Everything we did still didn't give us the sense of being free, because we knew that something was still missing.
Ethnicized psychotherapy may include non-medical or non-psychiatric approaches to the correction of behavioral misconduct by using various therapeutic labeling, treatment, or behavior modification procedures to return the deviant to normalcy, i.e., to the norms of one group. those with established power and a vested interest in resisting social change, norms that are declared to be the norms of society as a whole. In this instance, what is considered normal is also considered necessarily good or moral. In contrast, the abnormal or deviant is considered bad or immoral. In this guise, ethnicized psychotherapy may be rightly perceived as an ally of medicalized psychotherapy in that they both provide practical benefits to the ruling establishment by advancing its established moral and political positions against those of the oppressed, disguised as humane, enlightened, disinterested, and apolitical therapeutics. Thus, what at first sight may appear to be the utilization of objective scientific approach in dealing with deviancy in reality involves the stigmatization, moral condemnation, and politicization of the behavioral and consciousness of people, of persons struggling against social injustice and inequality. Roland Leifer defined the ethnicization of psychotherapy as the molding and the polarization of behavior so that it conforms to prevailing cultural patterns. It is indoctrination or training for culturally specific traits, attitudes, and actions. The aim of ethnicized psychotherapy is to return the deviant to normal, i.e., to instill the deviant a set of particular traits, attitudes, values, behavior orientations, and goals, which, when pursued or realized, support and maintain the political, economic, social status quo along with its ruling elite. Ethnicized psychotherapy, like its medicated counterpart, also strips the deviant act of its social and political meaning by pretending it is mechanicalistically or in some order determined, thereby denying that the act could possibly be justified from the standpoint of an alternative view in social morality. Ethnicized psychotherapy, too, views any form of behavior and state of consciousness which do not conform to the norms of political economic interest of the ruling establishment or groups as, by definition, a reflection of individual maladjustment, emotional immaturity, mental pathology, or some other negatively valued concept. Thus, problems which may be reflective of social and political problems are dismissed as the ailments of isolated individuals as evident of individual maladjustment or epipneumonial of a distorted personality, all abstracted from the field of social and economic forces which generate the existence and form. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Happy Monday. Welcome back to On the Shoulders of Giants. I am Joseph Ward, and we are continuing and actually finishing our reading of Dr. Amos Wilson's book, The Falsification of African Consciousness, Eurocentric History, Psychiatry, and the Politics of White Supremacy. And I'm reading starting on page 108. The bottom paragraph of 108, ethnicized psychotherapy. The reconstructing or basically getting people in line. We're just going to leave it at that. A way to get the Negro in line, especially the Negro who has the abnormal behavior, the deviant behavior, the behavior that is not the ideal behavior of the group that's in power, because this behavior of this individual is it's a behavior that would challenge the status quo. It's a behavior that actually challenges the status quo. It's a behavior that could wake up the others, right? So think about what they did with the Black Panthers, right? How they systematically eliminated the Black Panthers or any other freedom fighters, right? We talked about this before, right? So looking at examples of like Nat Turner, look at how they brutally punished him after being caught from leading his insurrections. So those who pose a great threat to the system, to the status quo, will be punished and punished mightily and handedly, but they will be demonized before they're punished, right? But the demonization and the punishment is also reinforcement to keep others in line. And we talked about this on our Friday breakdown when we talked about the bloodlust of the white supremacists, right? So, but in this, he's talking about the non-medicated or the non-psychiatric approaches to the correction of behavioral misconduct by using various therapeutic labeling, treatment, and behavior modification procedures to return the deviant to normalcy. So going outside of the normal box that we would consider that a therapist would use to change a person's behavior patterns, right? So we're going to get further into what these tools are, what these techniques are to be able to reshape the ideologies, the ideas, the mindsets of those who would be considered deviant, right? But on our end, it's to understand what's happened so we can protect what we build internally and externally. Protecting what we build doesn't just mean protecting a nation if we build it, but it's the rebuilding of the African-centered mind, right? The Black American mind, right? Whatever you want to call it, however you want to say it. It's a overthrowing of the Eurocentric mindset that we were given and replacing it with that liberated mindset, with that Black mindset, with that African mindset, with that freedom mindset. A mindset of a powerful people, of a strong people, of a capable people, of a confident people, right? Us understanding that we are not dependent upon white supremacy. That white supremacy actually needs us. It needs us to be subservient. It needs us to want to be a part of what boss got going on, like Dr. Naeem Akbar was talking about. And I chose that clip because I like what he was saying as far as us looking for liberation, but looking for liberation in the wrong places, using the wrong manner, because it goes with what we're reading, right? And also in the latter part of the clip when he's talking about, well, we've done all these other things to be free in a total sense, but we haven't gained that freedom in a total sense. So let's become the white people. Let's marry the white people. Let's integrate, or matter of fact, let's assimilate fully into white culture and become as much of the white as we can. So this renders us powerless to actually gain the freedom that we need, because in order for us to integrate or assimilate fully into white culture, we have to take on the mindsets and the behaviors and the characteristics and the normalcy of the status quo of the white culture, of the white world that we're looking to assimilate in. We have to become that, rendering us less of a threat to revolt, less of a threat to freedom, less of a chance to have true liberation. So that's what we're getting into. Remember to like this video, comment, subscribe, share, tell everybody about this channel. I appreciate all the support. I appreciate all the love. Me, Kim, I appreciate you for your continued support. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, Me, Kim, for your continued support. And let's get as many likes, views, and everything on this video. Let's run this stuff up. So let's jump back in to the bottom of page 110. We're talking about educative psychotherapy. Remember, we're talking about the different techniques that are used to reshape the mindset of those who would go against the status quo. So in 1969, Leifer makes an important distinction between ethnicized psychotherapy and educative psychotherapy. He points out that both therapeutic approaches turn to the fulcrum of social power. He contends that ethnicization involves the use of social power to influence thought and conduct in socially approved directions. Education involves the analysis of social power among other subjects to understand its influence on the lives of individuals and social groups. Read that again. Ethnicization involves the use of social power to influence thought and conduct in socially approved directions. Education involves the analysis of social power, among other subjects, to understand its influence on the lives of individuals and social groups. Given the political, economic position of Africans in the world today, and the negative social and mental health outcomes evolving therefrom, the African-centered educational and therapeutic psychology emphasizes critical analysis and understanding of how the ethnicizing Eurocentric social agent, whether therapeutic, educator, etc., attempts to mold African behavior to fit specific Eurocentrically self-serving legal, moral, political, and ethnic standards. An African-centered educative approach, in addition to defining and designating certain states of consciousness and forms of behavior relative to the needs of African peoples, must engage the client in a full analysis of his life goals and methods for achieving them, while helping to imbue his efforts with social meaning, purpose, and creative power. It seeks to imbue in its participants an African-centered consciousness and behavior orientation, which will maximize the positive expression of its fundamental humanity and its ability to maximally contribute to the growth and development of the African community to which he is a member. Right. So